Hello, this is Diana with Little House of Yarn in Princeton, Indiana, and welcome to Shopcast number 6. I hope you can join me as I talk about some finished objects, some whips I have going, some bags I've created and whipped up, an event that's coming up, some of the new yarns in the shop, and some crochet kits and a knit kit that I have available if you're interested. So I hope you grab your favorite beverage and join me for this little time together. It is February 21st. I'm about a week later than normal doing this Shopcast, but I had a finished object I wanted to get done, and I got it done. Yay me! And that way I could show it to you guys, because I've been working on it a little longer than I wanted to. There's a whole story behind that. The weather today, it's been a beautiful winter day. The sun has been shining. It's not too cold. It's 40-ish, which is the typical winter. We've went from 12 inches to 18 inches of snow, depending on where you're at, to we had tornadic activity the other night. So depending on where you're living, we didn't have any tornadoes here in Princeton, but they did north of us in the Bloomington, Indiana area. And I believe everybody was okay, but crazy weather. It's that time of year. We transition into spring. It's just very turbulent weather. And the first weekend in February, I attended my first winter woolly. This was in the Brown County Inn in Nashville, Indiana, and I had a lovely weekend. Spent some time with a lot of knitters and crocheters, met some new people, saw some of my customers there, saw some friends there. I did want to show my yarn stash. This is some of my yarn stash. The other yarn stash is at home. I've actually cast on a project. Rebel Pearl was there, and she had these two yarns that she doesn't normally carry. This is a superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, 2-ply high twist sock. So I got these two colors. This is actually a gray, and then this is a creamy gray. There we go. That picked up the gray. I love these. I do have a project in mind. Not going to reveal it yet. This is my personal project. And then Ba Yarns was there as well, and I got their Beach Vibes mini skein set, which I loved. A lot of people loved them. But as you all know, I have this recent book by Summer Lee, the Sock Obsession book, and so I'm going to use that mini skein set, the colors in there, to incorporate in some of the socks that I make of hers. So it's some of my knitting goals there. It was a fun time. I hope I get to go again next year. Would love to go. Alrighty. And also at the end of this month, the end of February, it's going to be the shop's 6th anniversary. Yay! So that's an exciting time. I'm not going to do any kind of celebration. I'm going to carry it over into April, into local yarn store day, which is the end of April, the last Saturday in April. This is not only my 6-year anniversary, but it's also my local dyer, Fiber Owl's 6th anniversary. So we are coming up with a 6-year anniversary colorway yarn. And she said there's a new dyeing technique that she experimented with when it snowed, because what else are you going to do when it snows like that? And so she's incorporating that into the design, and I am excited to see what she's going to come up with. We've kind of tossed color ideas at each other, and she is pretty confident she can nail it. She usually does. Every time we discuss, she's able to nail it. And she appreciates everybody's support so much. Let's see. I just want to make sure I get everything here. Okay. First thing I'm going to talk about is some of my finished objects. So the first one I'm going to go over is my mohair socks. And these socks have been worn, so they're stretched out. I put them on a lot. This is a mohair and fingering weight yarn. The yarn, so on the camera it looks cobalt blue, but it's really a purplish, a deep purple. The fingering weight yarn was like a deep periwinkle, and that was from a yarn crawl, a former yarn crawl. I've not worked with mohair before, so this was a fun experience. I've been wearing them and I'm not breaking out, which is good because that means I'm not allergic to mohair. And the only thing I can say is these are like wearing velvet. I put them on and it's just like having velvet up against your foot, on your foot, and walking in your foot. I do wear my house slippers under it because these can be a little slick. I had a customer even warn me that their mohair socks are a little slick. And I did get the pattern from the book by Summer Lee called Sock Obsession. And this is called the house socks. So it was one fingering weight and one mohair held. I believe she called for a size 3 needle. I ended up having to go down to size 2. I did gauge swatch because I've not worked with mohair before and I didn't know what it was going to do. But this is the mohair I use, which is the Malabrigo. This one is called Wales Road. So it has some, I don't know if you can see, but it's got some deep purples and reddish purples. I know on the camera it's probably turning out blue, but it's some deep purples and reddish purples mixed. So if this is something you would like to try to make, I have the Wales Road that I tried with a sock yarn. So you could incorporate it with this beautiful purple from Heritage. This is, it's just color 5632, but it's not quite as bright as what's on the camera. There's also a needle fingers yarn, Mermaidia, that it would go good with. There is a Fiber Owl Tempest. This is her Tempest colorway that it would go good with. So those are some suggestions I have for that color of mohair. Another color of mohair I have is called Teal. This one's pretty well coming up, the color. It's supposed to. So you can mix it with this Heritage Pine Green. These two would definitely go good together. And this lovely vintage sock. I believe it's teal. So you can mix these two together. This one's a little darker than this one, so this one would actually light this one up a little bit, lighten the color up. That's another option if you want to try a mohair sock. And the third option is this color from Malabrigo called Tiger's Eye. So this has golds, a little cream, some browns. So this colorway by Fiber Owl called Honey Amber would be perfect with it. I mean, it's pretty well spot on. Or if you prefer, you can do this Uni Merino Gold. This would be cool. This would kind of tone down some of the deepness. And then if you really want to go bold, we've got this Needle Fingers Coffee Bean color that you can mix with this as well, the Tiger's Eye. So there are some sock mohair suggestions. If that's something you want to try, I feel like exploring with different fibers is one of the beauties of being a knitter and crocheter. And like I said, I had never worked with mohair before, but I wanted to try it and I loved it. I will probably make another mohair sock at some point. Sorry about that. Not at this point though, but sometime I will. Another finished object is the Nola Slipover by Svetlana Volkova. I actually had this on Shopcast number 5 around Christmas time. I had it done. I casted it off. I put it on and I was swimming in this. I had done the size 47.2, and based on my gauge, I knew it was going to be a little bit bigger. And so therefore it swam. I swam in it, and this is why. If I would have paid more attention to the pattern, it says right here, it's worn to be -2 to +2 ease in the bust. So I went nuts with the ease in the bust, therefore I was swimming in it. So I went down 2 sizes based on my gauge, and it ended up coming out this middle size right here, about 45 inches. But anyway, here's what it is. I wore it, if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I wore this, but this is the Nola Slipover. I want you to see the fabric it created. This yarn is lovely. It's very flowy, very soft. It worked on a size 13 needle and size 11 for the bottom part. Let me get this on here a little better. There, yeah. I really like the shoulder construction. You just start at the neck, and then you just create your shoulders, and while you're doing that, you're also doing your short rows. It has this ribbing on the side, and her pattern, she originally had this angling this way on both sides, which would be trimming, but I didn't want to fuss with it. The yarn that I used was Lance de Nord Firenze. This is a lovely merino wool, alpaca, and nylon blend. It is a tube, and I want you to see how stretchy this is. I think this is part of the reason why my gauge was having issues. I do like the drape that it offers though, but I believe because it was so stretchy, it kind of lent itself to the oversized. I feel like because of how stretchy this is, you could almost use it as a bulky weight. I don't see why you couldn't, because when I worked it on a size 11 needle down here, I felt it worked up pretty. So I would definitely make something in a size 11 needle with this yarn. There's several colors of this to choose from, and of course this is a color that'll go with everything. I don't have enough for the size I made, but the next size down there's enough of this color, but otherwise there's other colors to choose from. You can find those on my website. That's definitely a yarn I would work with again. I have to say that working with bulky yarn or super bulky yarn is a little different. You assume because you're doing a size 15 needle, you're going to get it done right away. But I have found working with size 15 needle, I can't go the same speed as I do with like a size 8 needle. So I have to do exaggerated, slower stitches. So yes, in a way it gets done quickly, but you don't want to hurry it because it could cause some issues with your fingers, your neck, if you go too fast. Okay, the third finished object, and you guys have probably seen this if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, is my Ranunculus sweater by Midori Hirosi. And this is a fuchsia. It's actually a deeper color than this, but I absolutely love this. I love the color. The color is looks good, really good on me. This color is, I only have one of these left. It only took 2 of these Jody Long Andeamo Lites. This is a wool alpaca blend, 437 yards. So it just took 2 of these to make the size that I wore. And I'm trying to remember size 3 or 4. I'm thinking it's a 4. I can't remember 100%. I had a handful of yarn left over. So it's, the sleeves are what they call bracelet length. So it didn't quite come down to my wrist. And then I did do the I-cord edge, which I really liked on the sleeves. And this is a little fuzzy because I've worn it a few times. I did do the recommended hem, which is a twisted rib. I did the twisted rib up here. Did not do the short rows in the front, did in the back. But anyway, it's overall, this is one of those patterns that you've seen made 100 million times. And it was one of those that I kept putting off making it. But I've seen so many different versions of it and I just fell in love with it. And it's like, I have got to make that. Love it, love the pattern. It's probably more of an intermediate pattern. A beginner, I wouldn't throw it at a beginner because I feel like you need to be familiar with sweater constructions before you get into that. But otherwise, it was a well-written pattern. You can use any size yarn. They recommend a size 10 needle for any size yarn up to worsted weight, I believe, or Aran. But I've seen fingering weights done with like a size 6 needle because, you know, if you do a fingering on a size 10 needle, it's going to be a little transparent. So depending on how you're going to wear the garment depends on how you would want to modify that pattern. I do recommend it. I do recommend the Jody Long Andeamo Lite. I have several colors to choose from there. There's other yarns that you could use as well, like a Vasto. There's a Matera. Those are by Lance de Nord. And a few other. And you can also do like the Berroco Vintage if you want something a little more washable. Alrighty. My whip. So I decided to get into my summer knitting because I want this top ready by Easter, because I tell myself every year I want to knit a top for Easter and I never start it in time. So this year I've got to go ahead and start it. And this top is called Adelyn. It's by the Berroco design team. As you can see, it has lace detail, and then it's just a straight stockinette here, and then the back is just a straight stockinette as well. It's done in 2 panels, and then you do seam the panels together. It is a boat neck. Here's the schematic. And the last boat neck I made in a cotton blend, it didn't really look boat neck. It didn't hug my neck like a boat neck because of the way the cotton drapes. It doesn't look like this model has it too close to her neck. But see, the boat necks don't bother me as long as they're not like up here choking. So for some reason, my knitting gauge has changed over the past, seems like 6 months. The last 2 pairs of socks I made, same needles, same yarn brands, and they came out too big. So I'm apparently turning into a loose knitter, a loosey-goosey knitter. So the suggested gauge on this Adelyn was a size 7 needle, and you should have 26 stitches per 4-inch. So I did a size 7 needle and my first swatch, and I blocked it. You want to block your cotton especially. And I ended up with 16 stitches per 4 inches, so that was way too big. Went down to a size 6 needle, blocked it, and I got 18 stitches per 4 inches, which I was happy with that because that'll give me a little leeway. It's not going to be, because I chose the size for a 49-inch bust, or bust circumference, and this will give me a 48, 47, and I can adjust that. I figured out today how I can adjust that. I'll get into that later. So I did start it this week, and this is what I've got done so far. I love this Berroco modern cotton. This is the Berroco modern cotton worsted. This is actually a periwinkle blue. I know on here it looks more blue, but it's a periwinkle blue. And this is my swatch. See how it's a little sheary-weary. It's a little sheer, not too bad. Most of the time I wear tops under my, like tank tops under my tank. But this is the fabric. I went ahead and, let's see, where's my marker? My marker's right here. So I knit up to that marker yesterday, and I went ahead and blocked it last night while I was gone because I wanted to make sure I was happy with my stitch gauge. And when I came in this morning, I measured it again. It is 19 stitches per 4 inch, so it's pretty dang close. I did measure it widthwise, and I believe it'll come to 48 inches circumference. Happy with that. I figure that if it's, I'm going to go ahead and block these two pieces before I put them together. But I figure if it's too big on me, instead of seaming right on that edge, if I need to, I'll go over a 1/2 inch and do the mattress stitch. That's the invisible seam one. And I believe that'll work out just fine. I may even do a split hem. I don't know. I'm still undecided. But anyway, I've managed to get this much done. Started it Wednesday. So I'm happy. Got a long way to go. I figure I'll work, let's see, I did 1.5 inches today. That's about all I could tolerate. And if I do 1.5 inches a day for 4 or 5 days, I can get it done by at least end of March. And that'll be my main project. That's be the one I'd be focusing on. I have found that I am a lot more productive if I just focus on one big project and a couple of little ones, because I feel like you need a couple of little ones just to break up the monotony of the big one. I was able to get these 2 tops done really quick. I was happy with that. So that's kind of how I'm going to do my knitting. Some people can do several tops at the same time, and I can't. I've got my limit. I know what my limit is. Okay. Let me get that put up and out of the way. All right, so I did whip up a couple of bags. These are my newest bags that I've been doing. These are made out of cotton canvas duck fabric. They're not structured, but they are pretty big. They have very roomy pockets inside, and this is the large bag. I can get 2 projects in one of the large bags. Let me throw some yarn in here. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4 100-gram skeins, and you still have room in there for your project. So this is what it would look like. You could actually, there's enough rope here that you could put it on your shoulders to carry it if you like. Okay, there is also a carrying strap right here as well, so you could like hang it on your doorknob or something when you get home, or you could carry it like this. So this is the large, and then I have one extra large, same fabric. This one's really roomy, so this will fit up to 6 or 7 of the 100-gram skeins. I think I was able to get 10, 13, 50-gram skeins in here yesterday. I've got a little video I'm going to throw out there. But this is a cute little beehive with bees on it. I've got the extra large and the large available. I will be sewing up a couple of more patterns this weekend. Hopefully I'll get 1 or 2 more done for you guys. And because these are unstructured, there's less labor involved, so they're not as expensive as the structured bags that require more work, more materials. So these are a little more economical. They're also machine washable and dryable. So anyway, I have the extra large and large in those. I call them a utility tote. You could also use it for stuff like if you go to the gym, other stuff beside project bag, okay? Absolutely. All right, some of the new yarns that I have brought into the shop is the Lion brand lines of yarns. I started with some Mandela. So I have several colors of the Mandela, Lion brand Mandela yarns to choose from. And I also brought in the Heartland. If you're familiar with the Heartland is, it is acrylic, 100% acrylic, machine washable, of course. This is a worsted weight. It has 251 yards, so that's a lot of yardage for the price. And these are 100-gram skeins. I have several colors of those to choose from. Let's see, the Mandela is 100% acrylic as well. 590 yards per cake. It is a DK weight. You could use a H hook, which is not bad. I like using H hooks. Then I also brought in some of the latest homespun bulky. It's a boucle yarn, if you're familiar. This is 100% acrylic. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 98% acrylic, 2% polyester, 185 yards. It is bulky. I believe somebody said you can make a scarf either out of 1 or 2 of these. If you get on their website, they also have pattern ideas for this yarn, but I do have a blanket in the shop that I made several years ago out of this yarn, and it is warm. It is acrylic, so if you're not an acrylic person, it's not your kind of yarn, but if you don't mind acrylics, it's one of the most economical acrylics that I have in the shop, and it's also a great quality. Okay, I do have a couple of kits I wanted to throw out there before I wrap it up. As you know, I've been promoting the Building Blocks book, which at the end of the year you could end up with a blanket that looks like this. And I have 2 ladies that are actually taking the classes, and we're actually just getting together for the blanket squares that they need help with. So we did the bobble one, yarn over and bobbles last time. They learned how to make bobbles. That was an adventure. They know what I'm talking about. And then the next time we get together, we're going to do cables, because they've not done cables before. So this is definitely a skill builder. If you do not want to come to a class, you can purchase this book. And I have a whole kit put together. I have all these colors of the Berroco Comfort Chunky, which is an acrylic nylon blend. And I have, this is a kit, and it's only $100. You save $16. You'll get the tote with it as well. So I have this available at the shop if you're interested in a blanket kit for the year. Another kit, because we're getting into summer, I'm leaning towards the Berroco Modern Cotton and the Berroco Modern Cotton Decay. So this is a pattern I have been wanting to make for a minute. It's in my Ravelry queue, and it is called the Hotel of Bees Shawl by Christina Hattering. And it's just this beautiful textured crochet shawl. And this shawl takes you through the Hotel of Bees from Anthony Doerr's book, All the Light We Cannot See. A hotel once owned by a wealthy bee enthusiast. We will visit the courtyard to see the big beehive-shaped fountain. We will go upstairs to look at the gorgeous fresco of child-sized bees. And when we get tired of our wanderlust, we bathe in a beautiful hexagonal bathtub. To take you through the story, the Hotel of Bees shawl consists of the following sections. You've got your wings, open honeycomb. Then you have a little line of bees. You've got your filet crochet right here. Big and small hexagons, so here and here. And then flowers, that's repeated throughout the whole shawl. I'll see if I can pull that up on my other phone. But I do, several people have made this shawl using Berroco Modern Cotton, so I did put some kits together if that's something you're interested in. This is the traditional bee color. It's kind of a muted gold, but then we have the silver and the off-white. So this is very neutral, I believe. Gold is not a color I wear though, however. It's not flattering on me. Not everybody can wear gold. That is more of a, I think it's called, what is that called? That color is called, it's not really, it's called, it's called 6618. I think it's called, I don't know what it's called, but it reminded me of beehives. Okay, the honey. And then I've kind of got a beachy vibe one going on. Corals, teals, and this is representing the sand. And then I kind of have a rose garden. So this is like the roses. And this is the green. And then this is kind of a beigey that would go with it. So I've got these 3 kits. Let me pull that pattern up on Ravelry and see if I can find some better pictures. Takes me a minute to get into my shop phone. We get on Ravelry. This is actually in my queue. Hotel of Bees. Now let me tap on it. And oops. Internet's being slow. But here's some of the texture you can see of the pattern. That's the little bees, the honeycomb. There's another version, those colors. Here's some other colors. That's kind of the gold that I have kitted up. This one's in purples and pinks. I know these aren't the best pictures. There's another kind of the colors I picked. That's what it looks like on. And there she has it draped over her shoulders. So it's a pretty good size. Of course, she looks petite. I'm not petite. I don't know if it'd wrap around me. There's the back of it. This would be a great summer shawl to take to restaurants with you. But that's some of the colors. Let me see if I can find the Berroco. I've also seen it made out of the Mandela yarn. So the Hotel of Bees have been made out of that yarn. I've seen it, it's been worked up in the Heartland a few times. Also the Queensland United, which I have in stock. It's been worked up on that. It's been worked on Cascade Heritage Sock, which I have. Let's see here. Let me pull up Berroco. She does suggest a cotton blend, just because a regular cotton would be too stiff. And for those of you who have worked with cotton, you know this. Well, I'm not able to pull, but anyway, it's a good pattern. It's a good learning pattern. This is something I'm going to make. Haven't quite decided which colors to use yet. I don't know. Kind of excited about it. Okay. Well, that's really all I have for today. I thank you for joining me. I am here for your crochet and knitting inspiration. If you're interested in learning to knit or crochet, set up an appointment with me, and I would love to teach you and start you on your fiber journey. If you have questions about natural fibers or any of the fibers in the shop, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions as well. Be sure to check out my website. I don't offer shipping on a lot of stuff, and there's a reason for that, just because of the taxes and the way my processor does the taxes. So I just have you contact me, and then I can ship it to you and send you an invoice. I can do that. So if there's any of these kits here that you saw and you liked, you can just let me know. I'd be glad to take care of you. So anyway, you enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's going to be a chilly winter weekend, and I think it's supposed to warm up again sometime midweek. But happy crocheting and happy knitting.